I know you guys are not used to that from us.
Right, we're never late.
Except that we're always running late. Okay, so this morning we are here to talk Liz
about
Hartman.
one of my favorite designers.
Yes.
Okay, I love Elizabeth Hartman fabrics and patterns.
Her fabrics are generally small, simple prints,
Yes.
which make them very usable for a lot of different things. But I love her patterns. She is the queen of mixing. This is a woven right here. This is a print. We have our Kona solids and a whole bunch of Essex linen. So she mixes and matches textures and prints and kinds of fabric, and it's just
And I love it.
Really a lot of fun.
Not to mention, her patterns are
Terribly well
awesome.
written.
Oh, and she's one of the best pattern writers out there. She assumes no knowledge, which I love. Because I teach so many beginner quilting classes, you know, I see a lot of patterns that the finished product is great, but the pattern writer assumes you know a lot, and they skip a lot of steps in there, which is fine. However, because her patterns tend to be slightly complex, she has steps and photos and, you know, pictures, graphics for every single step along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is labeled, and I love it. So what I'm working on right now, we just got in the shop this week, is her quilt that's called, well, Dinosaurs.
Guys, this one, when we saw it 6 months ago, it just jumped off the page because I have seen a million dinosaur prints out there.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a quilt with different kinds of piece dinosaurs.
Piece dinos.
This
With all the
totally
fun little
new.
foliage in there.
And we just said, yes,
super
where do
awesome.
I get this?
Right.
And so, well, now where do you get it? You get it from us.
You get it
Just
from
kidding. Not just kidding. We actually have it.
We do have it.
So, we're going to talk dinos. We have pieced, between the four of us, a lot of Liz Hartman quilts. All of us have used her patterns before, and we love them, and we want you to, one, not be afraid of them, and B, to show you why it is that we love them.
Right.
So, to start off with, first of all, they're very well written, very well,
Guys, it's a book.
They're organized in a book. I know this pattern, if you go to buy the pattern alone, is $24. It is worth every penny.
Every penny. I mean, 24 color pages. Well, not 24 pages. I mean,
there's more than that.
Lots more.
Anyway, it's all color. It's really well done. It's
worth every penny.
Worth it. Okay, so.
Hold on. These are the finished blocks I've already done.
So Jen made 2 blocks yesterday. And I kind of love that these dinos are on like an olive green background.
Right, it's called Moss. Here's my little T-Rex
with his short arms.
I love his stubby arms.
Because he's so cute.
So cute.
So you also know we're big Lori Holt fans. And so because of that, we have what we call design boards.
Design boards.
If you are unfamiliar with the concept of a design board, we do sell them, but
maybe one of these days we'll do a video showing you how we like to make them.
We make them a lot. And
all of them that I have here today, I made.
Yes. So all they are is a piece of foam core that you use for your science presentations, or your kids do. And then,
or your husband's work
or my husband's work presentations. I get used foam core that gets brought home. And scraps of batting, which I know none of you have. And scraps of binding, which I also know none of you have.
Right.
And I use spray adhesive. Lori Holt uses hot glue, but life's easier with spray adhesive. And I just spray it, put the batting on, and then glue down my binding. And if you really don't want to do the binding part, we have done quite a few with decorative duct tapes around the outside.
It's really just to not have loose binding on the edge.
But you guys, the purpose of these is, one, look at this, all my little pieces, and they're not falling off.
Right.
And second, we, like when we do applique, they're nice because you can pin the pieces down, and I just do my acupuncture method and pin it straight down.
Right. And
they travel well. Jen brought these huge ones here today, stacked on top of each other with her huge ruler.
On top.
And
so these traveled,
they can keep things organized.
30 miles.
So they traveled this morning, but it also means that if you don't have a designated sewing room, or if you do and you just can't have this out all the time,
which I have to stack them up. My sewing room I do have a sewing room, but it's 8 feet by 9 feet.
And so you just do this, and you get it all laid out, and you have this stack, and they're all still organized. The pieces stay where they need to be,
You can always put an empty one on top to travel and rubber band them together.
Put a big rubber band around it and they go. So they're really, really useful for this type of piecing. You've seen me, and I always tell people that I keep a cutting mat next to my machine with my project stacked out. I do the same thing with design boards. I keep it next to my machine. So I'm here, in front of my machine. I got my design board with the pieces all laid out where they go, and my pressing mat here. We just cycle through.
Right.
Which is what we're going to do today.
Exactly.
So
these are for the little fern blocks for this quilt. This is one of them already made up. Yeah. But what that lets me do is because these are simple compared to the dino.
They're her leaders and enders.
They're my leaders and enders. Because, I have to chain piece.
In the midst of making a stegosaurus head, we're going to make some ferns and just by accident.
Actually, these are the only 4 I have left. There's 18 ferns. But, I pieced these 2 blocks yesterday, so that's when I made all the other ferns.
Okay, another thing I want to show you as we get started in this, though, one of the biggest keys to any project like this is knowing your pieces and keeping them organized. So when you go to cut them out, cutting this out is a process and a half.
It is a process.
But
guys, I did all of this yesterday.
She cut it all, the whole quilt. First of all, starch. Best press. So when you iron your fabric, a little bit of best press.
Right. I mean, you're gonna get it out of the kit. Let's show them the kit.
Oh, I'll show you this.
So when you bring this home and you open it up, you're gonna need to press everything before you sew it anyway, because it's
here's
all
our
folded and
kit.
packaged.
There's our book pattern
with our lovely
and
rainbow.
all of this gorgeous fabric.
So folded. You're gonna have to press all those fat quarters anyway. I gave them all a nice spritz of best press because I'm gonna cut into small pieces and I want them to stay the size I cut them.
Yes.
I starched them all. Okay, just because that's how it gives me a better result.
Yes.
So first I starched them all, and then I cut.
Sorry.
Oh.
We'll talk through your Triceratops.
We'll get through the Triceratops.
Okay. Sorry, the comments weren't showing.
So anyway, and then as you cut, she assigns a label to every piece. A, B, C, D, etc. Some of them get to like
double
this
G.
one right here, it's like double G.
Yeah.
When I made this little reindeer guy over here, we got to triple C.
Yes.
We went through the alphabet more than twice.
We go through it a lot.
But usually we end up like double H-ish.
But we like to keep our pieces labeled. You can use scraps of paper. Jen on these ones down here uses garage sale stickers.
And what I wanted to show you about this, guys, I don't know if you can see, this is multiple layers. This is all of the T-Rexes. Well, the 5 I haven't made yet. So they're all on top of each other. And so when I go to make it, so like I did the blue Triceratops yesterday. Well, he was on the bottom. So today we're doing the green Triceratops because that's one up and then I don't have to lose my labels. So all of these have just one sticker on them.
And then you can chain piece all of your T-Rexes together and do
do them all at the same time. But then as we put them on here, so that I could lay it out and have the pieces I needed, I put more stickers on. Now, the ones we're using right now, these are the So Handy stickers. Now, there are a ton of sheets in there. This is
about, I don't even know how many sheets. What is it?
There are a lot of sheets.
A lot.
Of stickers in there. So
and they've got letters and numbers and symbols, but it's
multiples. Now,
it's an easy way to do this.
So those are cute, nice stickers to have. The ones I have here, they're the little Avery small rectangular labels. You get like 500 in a package. But whatever you do, whatever method you're going to use, label your pieces.
Label your pieces.
Because it takes too long to go and remeasure each one. And she's going to refer to it as grab, H and add it to the GB unit. So looks like craziness on there.
It's going to simplify your piecing.
However, when you look on here, it's like, well, like right here, I'm going to add T to C, and then this is the TC unit to which I add the next one. So it's really not too bad.
It's better
if you're labeled.
Yes, it goes a lot better if you're labeled. The other thing you have to have in order to piece Elizabeth Hartman is an accurate 1/4 inch seam.
Please.
So whether that means you've got a seam guide, an edge on your foot, whatever it is, your seam needs to be accurate because it's the only way all these pieces go together.
Right.
And we're going to do, she doesn't really do a lot of half square triangles, but you'll see a lot of flip and stitch corners.
So many flip and stitch.
And so this diagonal seam tape or some sort of a seam guide
makes life go so much
speed up this process because
faster.
you don't have to draw those lines.
If you don't have that, you are going to draw a lot of lines. That's fine. Draw the lines. I'm pretty good. But don't just eyeball.
Some of them are tiny flip and stitch corners. Some of them are
right.
big.
If you're doing a flip and stitch on a 1-inch square, you can probably eyeball that pretty good. But it's harder to eyeball a 5-inch square. So
okay, that's it. Let's get started.
Let's start sewing.
We don't want to be here all morning.
You guys don't want to watch me sew all day.
So Jen's got the pattern book, and she's got it on her cute little book stand facing her, so that she can make sure she's going to do things in the right order.
Right, and because I believe in copyright, and we're not giving away her pattern.
No, sorry guys.
I mean, I love y'all, but you can buy it from me. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a great pattern.
But Elizabeth Hartman here did her work and deserves to get paid for it.
I kind of believe so. Okay, so she's going to start with her first flip and stitch corners. The interesting thing about these is you're going to, if you look at her quilts closely or any of these projects, you'll find that there are things where we're going to go over it about 4 times. I'm going to grab this Dinosaurs block. So Jen's going to... Triceratops. But anyway, the point is, we start, when you have like these horns, so this is 2 rectangles, and you essentially put them together like a flip and stitch corner. It comes up big. But this right here is 1 unit in the block. But what it started out as is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So she's going to take you step by step as you do it. But it's really the process. If you look at the piece itself, it looks a little intimidating. But the process is seriously the same thing. It's your flip and stitch thing over and over and over again. Right. Until you've created this long rectangle unit. I'm just going to keep flipping.
Now, I'm going to take the cover off my scissors.
It's not half as frightening as it looks.
No, guys,
Yes. And like I said, I can't show you the pattern, you guys, but every single step is diagrammed with lines showing you where to cut and lines showing you where to sew.
What I didn't just do that I need to tell you, when you do flip and stitch like this, especially with rectangles, open it up before trimming. Just to make sure. I don't think the iron's on.
It is. I just burned myself on it.
Good job.
In order to check. And the other thing I'm going to tell you to do on these is press open.
Yes, and she says that in her pattern, okay? She
tells little pieces
to press open.
You want to press open.
And it's because you need to. Now, this is one of the fun things about laying it out. I'm going to pull it over here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. Now, she's going to chain piece. So she's going to move it from one piece to the next. The one I have on here needs to go here. And I can't just do that. So I'm going to take this little guy that these 2 go together
and kind of do it in between. And what I'm going to do is as I press them, I'm going to just keep putting it back on the board. So that's what we do when we do these things. Like, you sew it, you press it, you put it back on the board or the mat or whatever it is you're using to keep your pieces organized. And it really just... And Jen's taking off her stickers after it's not this hole.
Sorry, guys. It was a spam call even. Man alive. Okay,
looking at her thing. Oh, it goes with this, huh?
Yep. So this is fun. I know the horn, it's like, how on earth do you do this? I'll take this little guy right here.
So she's got...
I put this little guy right here.
Hold it up.
So and now I'm going to sew this way. And it's going to be awesome.
Yep. But we just keep going through one piece at a time as we get through this block. And really, you guys, this is fun piecing. And honestly, it looks complicated and it sounds like it's hard to stay organized. But it really...
I have to tell you guys, so one of the first ones I made of hers was this Northern Stars with all the little Arctic animals. And it is some of the most fun I've ever had while sewing. And the reason for that is everything was something new. You know, I'd sew a few little pieces together.
It goes back to my why I love sampler quilts.
And then all of a sudden, I had this cute little like otter face looking at me.
Okay, Jen's going to do a piece right here.
And then Liz is going to show you how it's done.
This is really cool, and this is a technique she uses a lot. And I want to show it to you because I think it's so cool. And it's one that I used... I'm piling my stuff.
Yeah, show them the leafy quilt.
When I made my leafy quilt. Okay, you guys, this is leafy. And what you can see is it has all of these veins in the leaves, okay?
They're super skinny and scary.
They finished at 1/4 inch. And so you know that that was a small piece, right? But bigger, it wouldn't quite look right. So it's perfect at 1/4 of an inch. It's a fantastic effect. Mm-hmm. But this is also about 18 inches long or so.
Right.
And sewing a 3/4 inch wide, 18-inch long strip is called asking for trouble and inaccuracy. So Liz, this is what she does, you guys. She has you cut this piece instead of 3/4 of an inch. She always cuts it at 1 inch, which sounds like a total pain in the butt. Okay, so we're doing the same thing with the dinos' mouths. Sarita did this when she made our Savannah quilt. It's the mouths on Norman and Annette.
I mean, I think I even did it.
We probably did it here. It's a pretty common technique from her. So she had this cut at 1 inch, okay, which means it would finish it at 1/2 of an inch.
Once I get to bigger pieces.
But she wants it finished at 1/4. So what we do is we sew it on one direction and press it. And this is in red on her pattern, by the way, you guys. And so after it's sewn on one direction,
don't ignore it.
What we do is we trim it. So now I take that seamed line and I'm going to trim to make so this is 1/2 of an inch now. And I'm going to cut approximately 1/4 of an inch off. It sounds wasteful and unnecessary, but what it does is it seriously improves our accuracy. And
it keeps you from having such a wavy line.
Yeah.
And you'll find with long, thin strips like that, they do end up a little wavy. So I never cut off a perfectly straight section off.
So I just cut this, and there's this tiny bit left, you guys. But then when Jen goes to put her little H piece on it, what we're going to end up with is that
I'm do right now.
Perfect tiny 1/4 of an inch, and it's going to have that great effect and be accurate. And then you don't have to mess with 3/4 of an inch strips.
But don't skip that step.
No, because then your pieces won't turn out the right size.
And that's why she has it like in red on her pattern. But still, people skip it sometimes.
I've skipped it before. In fact, I did a whole quilt skipping it and then couldn't figure out why my pieces were the wrong size.
It was awesome. It was
I'd
great.
like to pretend I'm joking, but I am not.
She's not joking.
I had to adjust my sashings and all sorts of stuff, and it was
But
fun.
guys, look. So that's 4 pieces put together, and here's part of my horn. It's awesome. And once Liz presses that, I'll attach it on, and we'll have the 2 horns for our Triceratops.
But yeah, you guys, I know this can look intimidating. You're looking at 1-inch squares. You're looking at some small pieces and a lot of pieces.
Some of the things I love about her patterns too, they are all going to be, there's no 1/8 of an inch here.
No, it's all quarters. Everything's done
all
in quarters. There's no weird measurements. There's no weird...
Nothing weird.
No, I've done one pattern with one weird angle.
Well, okay, so these guys have a weird angle to them. We cut big pieces and trimmed them down.
In fact,
that's what I did them all on. All these mouths.
Yeah, I was like, you did them on the mouth. I said that already. You weren't listening.
I was sewing.
Anyway, so
I know, crazy.
But with that, like, I'm going to show you a couple of our favorite Liz Hartman patterns. But first, I want to show you how that 1/4 inch piece came out.
Okay, let me trim it off.
You press it. I love pressing these because there's more on the back than the front.
Right.
It's fun.
Which is part of why you press them open.
Yes, exactly why we press them open. Okay, you guys? But look, we have this perfect, super narrow strip in there. It's going to do its job. It's going to be the dino's mouth.
We're going to put it on the bottom where it goes.
See right here? And then we do a flip and stitch corner to cover it, to make the mouth angular. But the point is, you can see what it does. And it's not that crazy because you're not sewing a 3/4 of an inch piece. You have that little bit of extra wiggle room and that trimming that makes it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the big one.
I'm right.
She is right. Okay.
Don't worry, I looked at my pattern 3 times.
But if you're looking at fun Elizabeth Hartman patterns that are slightly simpler, and a good place to start.
So this one, you've
still have
probably
this
seen
pattern
the little pillow at our
daily.
shop. We do have the whole quilt.
It's hiding in the shop, so you have to find him.
Because, it's Sasquatch. He can't possibly be out front. He would be very uncomfortable there.
So he's hiding back in the back.
He's hiding back in the back. So this is one of our favorites, especially us being in Idaho. Sasquatch in a forest, you don't get much better.
Now we have horns. Okay, so although this to me is...
See, guys, I want to tell you something. I'm not done with this piece yet. I'm going to take this little guy right here.
Another one.
And do a flip and stitch corner there. And then this unit's done.
Okay, so this is a great starter project for Liz Hartman if you're looking at something interested into it. The trees are all pretty simple. There's only one crazy piece block, and it's the Sasquatch. And the smallest piece on it is really like his thumbs. And it's really not terribly scary, and it's a great place to get started. It's a good lap quilt. So this is one of our favorites. We are selling out of it.
We sell out of those patterns. Like, it's one of those things we order like
every time we get it back in stock. This one you may have seen from us lately. Mom finished her Pretty Birds quilt, and it's on display in the shop, and I posted about it before. We do have kits if you're interested. This was with her last line called Library. It's a mix of Manchester linens and Kona solids and her fabrics, and it's just
adorable,
super duper stunning.
It's beautiful. It's so pretty in person, guys. So if you're local, come to the shop and see it.
That's Pretty Birds. One of her other newer ones, and you guys, this one just actually features Kona solids and linens. That's her Tigers, which is fun. But we first got introduced to her via Fancy Forest.
That was the first pattern I bought of hers. I still haven't made it, but I had to buy the pattern because, oh my gosh.
And we still love it.
Okay, now guys, with all the piecing that's going on over here, when I flip this over, I'm just going to press to the side.
No way.
I'm just going to press to the side. Or she's going to, because that's her job. Now, I can't take this one off right now because the next two pieces get attached to it. So I'm going to move along and grab our next piece. Now this right here, these are going to be what are the things called on a Triceratops? I used to watch so much like dinosaur stuff. I should know this.
Dinosaur train. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm feeling really dumb. His thing.
Spikes?
They're not spikes.
I know, there's a real word for it.
I was going over this on my way home from work the other night when I brought the kid home with me. And I was like, oh, look at these cute little brachiosauruses. Brachiosaurus. What? I had to Google what the plural for stegosaurus.
Brachiosaur?
Brachiosauruses. It actually is S's. Same with stegosaurus. Stegosauruses.
Yeah, who knew?
I didn't know. I was like, well, maybe stegosaurus is both plural and singular. You know, like moose. Moose is there's no plural for moose. Is it meese?
I don't know what
it is. It's moose.
Well, don't ask me.
Moosin. Sorry, that's a really silly comedy sketch I used to watch.
English is a confusing language.
Yeah, I had to look it up on my way home. I was driving and I was like, hey Google, what's the plural for stegosaurus?
For brachiosaur?
Right. Because I was like, well, is it like Latin, like brachiosauri?
Yeah. She's a nerd.
I am a nerd. That we know this though. You guys know this.
You need to put the eyeball on.
I know. I was waiting for you. Are you gonna take my stickers off while I put an eyeball on?
I guess so.
Just for kicks.
So we're not gonna finish this today because I don't want to make you guys watch us.
Oh no, we're not watching all of it.
Just to be clear. But we just want you guys to know that like these are not things you have to be intimidated by. I know this pile out here can look a little intimidating.
But you know what? It's like
But when you delve into it, it's
one bite at a time.
As scary as it can look.
One bite at a time. And you're good.
And on top of that, like, okay, I say it all the time. I love a good sampler quilt. Mm-hmm. I love a good variety quilt. I love not making 40 blocks of the same thing. Mm-hmm. Because I get bored.
Now,
CDD.
I want to tell you guys, we did North Star here as a block of the month quite a while ago. And two of the gals that did it, that was their first quilt they ever did.
And they did an amazing job.
And they did great. I consider these totally in the realm of confident beginner. And what I mean by confident beginner is if you make a mistake, you can let it go, learn from it, and move on.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think, you know, when I teach my classes and people say, well, how long do I have to be quilting before I'm ready to do, like foundation paper piecing or curves or whatever. I'm like, whenever you want to. Because I think you will learn best if you're interested.
Oh yeah.
And you just need to have the motivation to do it. And for me, when I started really getting into quilting again, every project I picked was what's going to be a challenge for me. What's going to push my skills beyond what I already know.
We definitely grew up in a family that encouraged trying something new and being willing to fail at it.
Right.
And then trying it again.
Right.
And that's just kind of how
our brains
raised.
Work.
And so yeah. So if we ever come off as, why don't you just try? It's because that's just kind of how we are. And it's a fun way to, and I think it's kind of fun. I never have understood not being willing to at least give it a shot. Because, well, life's too short for that. Those ones.
I'll do these ones. Guys, I'm almost done.
We're almost done with the face. And then you can see it.
And honestly, the face is the hard part about this.
And if you look at it really closely, you're going to see that it's not 100% perfect. But guess what? When it all finishes getting pieced together and it gets quilted, see, look, here's our little mouth and our eyeball. Aren't they cute?
I usually do pretty good because it's a totally different game to stand, sew, and talk at the same time.
This is true.
It's like totally different game. Now, again, guys, I'm going to match what matters.
Always.
So
that's the name of the
when
game.
I'm putting these units together, there's some places that it doesn't matter and some places that it does.
Okay, another reason I like this layout game is I don't have to look at the pattern over and over and over again. Well, I mean, you do. But the point is, like, I knew that this square went there because that's how we laid it out.
Right. That part of the pattern is covered by my water bottle.
Yeah. But I've done enough of this piecing, and when you lay it out like that, it becomes really intuitive.
It really does, and it speeds everything up.
I need to trim this one, right?
So much. No. That is what it is.
That's what I thought.
You might notice I have a different featherweight on the table.
We keep selling all our featherweights.
We keep selling the ones we use.
We are out of stock on colored ones. If you'd like a colored one, get on the wait list.
Get on the wait list. It'll be about 2 years.
2 years out.
This one, though, is cool. It's a 1935. It's got a school bell.
If you don't know what that means, that has to do with the bob and wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And it only matters if it matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have people who are like, so? I'm like, then it's not worth more to you.
Nope.
Which is also fine.
Right. No problem.
It's like any antique or collectible. It's
people are like, well, how much is this worth? I don't know. What are you willing to pay for it?
Depends on what people are willing to pay for it. But that's it. The going rate on this machine's about $900 or so. Right. So that's what other people are willing to pay for it. Whether you are or not, I don't know. Right. So we have the first half of our face.
Isn't he adorable?
So all of this was taking up this whole block when we started.
This is why these are so fun.
And yeah, you get to a point where you're like, oh look, all of a sudden it's a horn, or all of a sudden it's a face.
Right, it's not just a piece anymore.
I remember Jen texted me at one point when she had been doing all of these centers of the faces, and she's like, oh my gosh, my sewing room is looking at me.
Because they were all like the same, so I chained all the faces at the same time, and then they were all on my design wall, like behind me, and I turn around and I have all these little hair, because they didn't have the beards or anything, all these little faces just like staring at me. It was a little creepy, actually. Not gonna lie, I was a little creeped out by my sewing room. No, it doesn't. It's the bottom.
I know. But it does go to this. It's just
the M goes. It's actually 5 because see now I have the M piece here.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And then the legs on the bottom.
She's right.
Usually M.
Whatever.
Mostly I've made this block before. You know,
that helps.
like yesterday. So it's pretty fresh in my mind.
This board is now empty.
Right, we don't need it anymore. They shrink.
Because we've combined and combined and combined. And now she's going to do one of her ferns.
Actually, I have to do a fern now because
she needs a leader.
I need a leader.
Or an ender.
I can't, guys. I just...
Whatever.
Can't leave a tail. The tail would be as long as sewing this little seam.
Oh, I hope things are still working because my phone's buffering.
Oh, good. Yeah, my internet decided to go down yesterday.
Eek.
And and CenturyLink can't figure it out. But
That's
it's yeah, no, don't worry. I called and signed up for another internet service company this morning. I'm like, I need internet.
I know.
And they're like, well, it works like just the one hardwired to my computer. And I'm like, I have multiple kids doing school.
Like virtual school 2 days a week?
Not actually an option. Okay, now putting these two pieces together, you know how I said match what matters? I'm going to make sure these
that
here.
Point right there.
That's the one that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one to identify. And
but
then the
these
rest works.
practices, like I said, translate to, well, any Elizabeth Hartman project, really. And there are tons. You guys, seriously,
she is
if you
prolific.
Go on our website and search Liz Hartman, or Elizabeth Hartman.
Elizabeth Hartman.
You're going to, well, probably comes up under Liz, it's part of the name. You're going to find a ton of patterns. And it's because she is, every time she puts out a line, it's got like 6 amazing projects that go with it. And she's got ones in between. In fact, oh, what was one of the other ones? I brought another new one. Where did I put it? I saw the puppies.
Oh, I saw the pattern.
Oh, what did I do with it? Okay, maybe you dropped it. Oh, okay. I'm going to show you a couple more patterns that are fun. So this is one of her newest ones. It's the puppies. And she's just using some of her basics and some wovens. And then this is a classic of hers, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
This is Pure the Bear. And it's primarily Kona solids and linens. And the only applique you're ever going to find on her projects is the glasses on the bear. Guys, her dogs and sweaters pattern has glasses on some of the dachshunds. It's adorable. So
sorry, she's busy
that's
typing, so I have to press.
pretty much the only place you'll ever see applique, and then it's just raw edge.
It's just raw edge fusible.
If you really want to do needle turn on those glasses,
good luck to you.
think you need to find a therapist. To be honest, because that's insane. Just kidding. Okay, so super fun. Guys, this is another great beginner-friendly project, okay? The puppies, totally. Same with Bjorn the Bear. He's got the mouthpiece, but it's pretty simple. But
it's a great way to build the skill if you
don't have to do the glasses. And you can do in any color scheme that works for you.
Right.
Based on whatever you do.
I've been wanting to make Bjorn for like ever. But you know,
we have several of her kits in the shop. One of them is the koalas. You guys, I love this one. It involves no prints. It's all linens and Kona solids. And the texture and depth in these fabrics are just, whew, they're amazing. And then
so cool.
We still have like 2 of these. And Norman Nanette's.
They're on
clearance.
They're on sale.
They're in our clearance section. So check them out.
Right.
They're awesome.
They're awesome.
And they need a good home.
Okay, Liz is getting behind in my pressing game. She keeps talking to you guys.
So this gingham in here, you guys, this is a woven. If you're unfamiliar with the differences between the wovens and the... Most fabrics are prints, okay? And in fact, most of the ginghams you buy these days are all prints. A woven means that it's actually dyed strands of thread woven together to create the print. Mm-hmm. And so they're nice, like...
Press that one for me, and then we'll be done.
Especially if you're doing scarves or something like that, because you can unravel the ends and the ends are actually colored. So these are actually a woven. Also, unlike printed ginghams, they can be cut straight because
they're woven.
They're woven straight as opposed to printed and then whatnot shifting. So they're woven. Liz does a lot with wovens. Mm-hmm. And then if you're unfamiliar with the linens in it, I know the linen can be kind of
it's a cottonized linen. It's all good.
So there are these. So like this orange right here that she's using for the Tyrannosauruses. These are all linens. They have their yarn dyed linens, and so same thing. There's a lot of depth of color in here. They are woven as well.
Here's our finished T-Rex with the linen and then the woven.
Some people feel like the linen stretches a lot more, but same thing though, you guys. When I cut this, I use that little bit of best press, and it's really not scary. And I love the texture.
I love them.
It's one of my favorite things about the projects, the way that Liz puts them together, is that not only do you have all this fun intricacy in the piecing, but because she's combined so many different types of fabric into it, it's got so much depth and texture and just, it's just
awesome.
It's just awesome. It just, you end up with this great overall effect. Those linens wash up and they are so soft. Guys, this has been washed.
Well, these two are, they were on kids' beds, guys.
And they're super snuggly.
They've been washed. I even have Essex linen on the back of this one. I love it.
I'll say, this one was the world's easiest kit to make, you guys. It's the fat quarter bundle of the prints from her collection, the fat quarter bundle of her coordinating Essexes, and a jelly roll of her coordinating Kona solids. And so every block has a combination of Essex solid and print, and it adds to that effect, you guys. And I put Minky on the back of this one because I am who I am, and it's a nice, warm, super snuggly, big quilt, which is great.
Right. Oh. I'm almost done. Last seam, well, for the front half of this guy, so his back half goes fast.
Yes. So we just want to show you guys, and then we will let you go.
Here, and I'll put my ender on here since I'm done. All right, Liz, press her out.
Let's go.
I'll just straighten it out because Jen has issues. It's okay, you guys know this. If you've watched our videos, you know that Liz and I have issues.
OCD.
We're just obsessive compulsive. It's not a disorder unless it impacts the quality of our life.
Yes. And if you have OCD or have family members that do and you want to yell at me for using the term, that's fine. Go right ahead. But it's definitely a personality trait.
My husband and I talked about it. I am obsessive compulsive, but not to the point in which it's a disorder. I'm married to a therapist. He thinks, a lot of people think I have major issues. He just thinks I'm quirky.
Well, that's because he works with the people at the prison.
He does mental health treatment in the prison. So,
Lucky.
Isn't he cute?
He's so cute. And we've got our Triceratops.
And we did that this morning while we watched this, or while you watched us. It's just one piece at a time. And that's all I'm going to tell you to do. Take it one piece at a time. But it's all so basic piecing, you guys. There's no tricks. I feel like, you want to say, well, what are your tips and tricks? Well, I only have tips. I have no tricks. Because there are no tricks to making this. It's not, you need a good quarter-inch seam. You need to be able to cut accurately.
And stay organized.
Stay organized is...
okay, tricks, use best press, some sort of starching.
Starch it. But really,
diagonal seam tables.
This is
simplified by
basic quilting techniques
into a very non-basic
into something that's not a basic project.
Which is fun.
Which is all it is. And I just don't ever want people to be scared of her stuff because her patterns are so fun.
They're just fun to make.
And if you want to try it, do it. Just do it.
Give it a shot.
Because this is some of the most fun I have piecing is when I get to do her quilts.
Oh, for sure.
Always.
Definitely.
All right.
Anyway,
thanks for joining us, and we'll see you
next
week when we're going to be going over our free pattern. Yay! So, we'll see you then.
Bye-bye, guys.